The rise of modern censorship, a new era of authoritarian tactics to silence dissent. Since Keir Starmer's ascension to leadership in the UK, allegedly facilitated by an unseen elite, there has been an alarming increase in measures aimed at suppressing free speech and censoring those who challenge or expose the dubious actions of powerful entities. These actions, often reminiscent of dictatorial and fascistic tactics, suggest a coordinated effort by globalists or a cabal to stifle criticism and limit the education and awareness of the public. A striking example of this trend is the arrest of Pavel Durov, the founder of Telegram, reportedly orchestrated by French President Emmanuel Macron, whom many perceive as an agent of elite financial interests like the Rothschilds. This blatant move to suppress dissent is symptomatic of a broader strategy to clamp down on freedom of expression worldwide. The erosion of free speech, a global trend. In recent years, there has been an unmistakable shift toward authoritarian practices aimed at curtailing civil liberties and free speech. Leaders across the globe, from democratically elected officials to those holding more autocratic power, have increasingly resorted to measures designed to limit criticism, control information, and shape public opinion. This trend is particularly evident in the actions of Western governments, which historically positioned themselves as champions of democracy and freedom. In the UK, under Starmer's leadership, there have been growing concerns over the erosion of individual rights and freedoms. New laws and regulations have been introduced that expand the government's power to monitor, censor, and prosecute those who express dissenting opinions, especially those that challenge or criticize powerful interests. The increasingly aggressive stance against alternative media, whistleblowers, and activists signals a deliberate effort to silence voices that speak against the status quo or reveal uncomfortable truths. Macron's move against Pavel Durov, a telling example. The arrest of Pavel Durov by the French authorities under the direction of Emmanuel Macron is a stark example of this new wave of censorship. As the founder of Telegram, a messaging app known for its emphasis on privacy and free speech, Durov has long been a thorn in the side of governments seeking to control the flow of information. His platform has provided a space for independent voices, dissenters, and activists to communicate and organize without fear of government surveillance or censorship. Macron's actions, which many interpret as serving the interests of a powerful financial elite, reflect a broader strategy to clamp down on platforms and individuals that promote free speech. The arrest has sparked outrage and concern among freedom advocates, who see it as a desperate and short-sighted move that will only serve to increase distrust and resentment toward those in power. It underscores the lengths to which some leaders will go to suppress criticism and maintain control over the narrative, even at the expense of fundamental democratic principles. The new face of fascism, control through fear and censorship. These actions are part of a wider trend in which modern-day leaders and institutions increasingly adopt tactics historically associated with fascist regimes. Under the guise of protecting national security, public health, or social harmony, governments have introduced sweeping measures that grant them unprecedented powers to monitor, censor, and control their populations. These tactics often include control of information. By controlling the media, governments can shape public perception, suppress dissent, and promote narratives that serve their interests. The use of laws to punish journalists, whistleblowers, and alternative media outlets has become more common, with the aim of creating a controlled environment where only state-approved information is disseminated. Surveillance and data control. The rise of digital surveillance technologies has given governments unparalleled power to monitor their citizens. Platforms that prioritize privacy, such as Telegram, have become targets for governments that see the free flow of information as a threat to their control. Legislation that mandates data sharing, weakens encryption, and expands state surveillance is becoming the norm in many countries. Legal and extrajudicial tactics. Governments increasingly resort to legal and extrajudicial measures to intimidate or eliminate perceived threats. The arrest of activists, journalists, and business leaders who challenge powerful interests serves as a stark warning to others who might dare to speak out. These actions are often accompanied by smear campaigns and the use of legal frameworks that criminalize dissent. Control through fear. Dictatorial regimes thrive on fear, and today's global elites are adopting similar tactics to silence dissent. Threats of legal action, financial ruin, or physical harm are employed to discourage those who might challenge the prevailing order. In this environment, even the most basic forms of protest or criticism are met with heavy-handed responses designed to instill fear and compliance. The cabal's desperation and its consequences. The actions taken by leaders like Macron, Starmer, and others can be viewed as increasingly desperate attempts to maintain control in the face of rising public discontent. The arrest of Pavel Durov is not only an attack on an individual, but a clear message to all who dare to challenge the status quo. It highlights the fragility of those in power and their fear of losing control over a population that is becoming more aware of their manipulations. Ironically, these tactics are proving counterproductive. The more they attempt to silence dissent, the more they reveal their authoritarian tendencies and their disregard for democratic principles. Each attempt to suppress free speech only fuels further resentment, deepening the divide between the elites and the general population. In their desperate bid to maintain power, they are unwittingly uniting people against them, turning them into martyrs and galvanizing resistance. A call for awareness and resistance. The recent rise in authoritarian tactics to silence criticism is a clear warning sign that the fundamental rights of free speech and free expression are under threat. The arrest of figures like Pavel Durov and the increasing censorship of dissenting voices demonstrate a troubling trend toward dictatorial governance. However, history shows that such measures rarely succeed in the long term. The more they attempt to shut down criticism and restrict freedom, the more they expose their true nature and their fear of an informed and empowered populace. It is essential for people to remain vigilant and resist these efforts to control and manipulate. Through awareness, solidarity, and the continued fight for free speech, it is possible to counter these authoritarian moves and reclaim the principles of democracy and freedom that are under threat. The battle for freedom is not new, but it is ongoing, and it requires constant vigilance and courage in the face of attempts to silence and control. The elites may employ all manner of tactics to maintain their hold on power, but history has shown that the human spirit's desire for freedom and truth is a force that no amount of censorship or oppression can permanently contain.